Okay, so let's throw the blanket in here. And now this blanket is a queen size blanket. You can fit, it says that you can fit up to a king size blanket in here, is what they say. So I just kind of throw it in there, kind of move the stuff all around pretty good and everything. That way it doesn't stop or anything. Now, this is what the Bulky Large does. Bulky Large, it gives you 56 minutes. You cannot use dry at all. You can change the temp up to high, and you only have no spin, low, or medium. That's all you get for that. Your soil level, you can go take it all the way up to heavy. You can add turbo wash, you can add extra rinse, you can add pre-wash. It's over here in the red, which is steam. You can end up doing a steam, which takes it up to 1 hour and 58 minutes. You could do just a cold wash if you wanted to. But that's the settings that you get on Bulky Large. To get around doing that, you can go to heavy if you want. Do your adjustments or whatever. You get turbo. It brings that up automatically. You can do your extra rinse still. You can do your pre-wash. But you can add your dry. So let's see how long that would take to wash just on heavy. And I'll show you the settings I used for my blanket. I either use heavy or sanitary. Those are the two settings I use for my blanket. So without changing any of the settings, let's just let it go on its own. Let's turn that off though. Let's leave that how that is and see how long it would end up taking. Let's see how long it would take to wash a blanket on heavy load. And again, I have washed this blanket. It comes out really, really nice, washing and drying it in here. Now, for some reason on a full-size dryer, when I tried drying this thing, it would never come out dry. Probably because you could never do the timed dry or anything like that. It would always end up drying on its own of an estimated time, and normally the dryer would go up to the most little over an hour on a full-size dryer. So my blanket would never come out nice and dry. I'd always have to take it to a dry cleaner, or to a laundromat. Laundromat is where I would have to take this blanket. Same thing for washing it. The regular dryer that has an agitator through the center, my blanket would never come out clean. I'd have to take it to a laundromat to put it into one of the big commercial front load washers to be able to wash my blanket. And the first time I washed it in this, it came out absolutely clean. I used the Sanitary is the one I used. It came out absolutely clean. I set the dryer to 2 hours for drying, and it was absolutely dry all the way through. So, on heavy load, heavy duty, we could always adjust the water up to hot. You have the extra high for your spin speed, heavy for your soil level. We turn that on. It comes down to an hour and 34 minutes. So that's 15 minutes it comes down. So you can do that. Again, fresh care. I usually always turn that on, and then I don't really use extra rinse too much or the pre-wash. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. And then of course, more dry or time dry. It just kind of depends on what I want to do. If I want to do the drying on its own and everything, I'll let it sense the drying. If that's how I want to do it, let it sense how dry the stuff is, and let it do that. Sometimes I'll put it on time dry, but for the most part, all of my laundry washes, I use the more. I let it determine how long it needs to go. So an hour and 34 minutes with turbo wash, hour and 49 minutes without. Let's see how long it'd take for Sanitary. Sanitary, it's going to do extra hot, high, and then normal. Let's see how long it takes. How long it will take to do that. So it's going to toss it around, and it's going to determine the weight. Hour and 52 minutes on Sanitary. Now, and then turbo wash, it brings it down by a little bit. Now, this is what I do for my blanket, at least for right now anyway, with what's going on, the so-called coronavirus. I use Sanitary, I use hot, I use high, I use heavy, and then my dry. Let's see how long. So it's about 2 hours right there. So my dry, I'll put it on more, because that's going to go for about 2 hours also. So that's 4 hours and 30 minutes. brings it down to 4 hours 11 minutes. With my blanket, I do use a pre-wash and an extra rinse. So I'm going to turn my pre-wash on, and I'm going to add one extra rinse to it. That's 4 hours and 36 minutes. Even though I'm usually always here, I like turning on my fresh care, which makes that flash. That's not going to add no time, because at the end of everything, the machine shuts off, and it just sits there and kind of spins it to keep the stuff going. But after all that, I hit a button and it erased my time. So yeah, usually that's what I end up usually looking at, and that's roughly what the time that I'll see with most of my loads when I have a full basket and everything of laundry, and I put it in there. Because right now this is the main setting that I use a lot right now. So that's what we see. And like I said, I use heavy for my blanket anyway. For my regular clothes, it's usually medium or it's usually normal or medium heavy. And my more an extra rinse. So that's usually the times I end up looking at for doing my laundry. And again, like I said, it goes by how much clothes you have in here. When it starts out, it's going to spin it so it can determine how much weight is in there and how much water it's going to need and everything. I've seen videos where people complain about the time that it's getting. You have to remember, a lot of that time is going to be according to your dry. A lot of that time you're going to get is going to come from your drying as well. So I figured I'd go ahead and do my video to show my times that I get and stuff for the settings that I use. It is a HE, high efficiency. The soap I use is Arm & Hammer. It does work with HE machines, so it's good. I use the Arm & Hammer with OxiClean, so that's what I end up using. But a lot of people like